And welcome everyone. This is Tara at RoadNet Technologies, and we have a great presentation for you today on how to drive results for fleets with mobile technology. To get started, I would like to mention that you have joined in a muted conference mode. If you'd like to communicate with us, please do so using the chat feature in WebEx. So we are recording today's session, and we'll be providing that recording to you after the event. I'd like to introduce you to today's presenter, Cindy Brandt, product strategist here at RoadNet Technologies. She'll be save time at the end of her presentation to take your questions. Cindy, let's get started.
Thank you very much for that introduction, Tara. As stated, my name is Cindy. I've been with RoadNet for about 15 years, and I've seen a lot of interesting stuff. But today, so that we could really talk about mobility in motion, we really concentrate on four key things. First and foremost, customer expectations. Second, how expensive is it really today to do business? Third, some different strategies for private fleets in order to really embrace mobility. And fourth, really look at mobile dispatch in action. Let's go ahead and just jump right in, if that's okay with everybody, and talk a little bit about customer expectations. So this is the age of the customer. I love this particular graphic. Hello, the age of the customer. Think about how our lives have changed. Customers have an increasingly large voice in how each and every one of us run our business. It could be everything from, believe it or not, the color of your website, to the time windows you offer for delivery, to how you actually capture data out in the field. But customers have an increasingly large voice inside industries. First, let's take a little bit of a look at an example. Let's look at Netflix. Netflix is probably a service that every single one of us know and love. I'm very passionate about Netflix because I can't stand commercial TV. First, I just don't like commercials. Several years ago, Netflix was really trying to decide what they're going to be. So they actually started a second division of the company called Quickster, which was going to be the DVD business, and then the streaming business was solely going to be called Netflix. Before, the streaming actually got incredibly popular, because if you remember, Netflix started as a DVD-only service. Well, we heard so much outcry and so much backlash from customers that they didn't want to have a separate service, that they really wanted everything to just simply be Netflix as it is today. So Netflix actually jettisoned off a whole section of their company because they had to listen to what their customers demanded. Now, this is one of my favorites from 2015, and that's the NFL. And NFL last year, at the end of the year, if you remember, had a lot of things going on besides the Super Bowl, and huge public outcry and backlash against some of the players, including one of our hometown favorites here, Bryce, the guy of the Vikings, whose name escapes me right now, and of course not in the NFL, but equally contentious there was Hope Solo from the U.S. women's soccer team, and of course our favorite guy, Roger Goodell, there in the middle. But unflattering things came out about these, where we maybe had the whole story, or maybe we didn't, and swift action was taken simply because social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, even YouTube videos came out about every single one of these players. And it very quickly influenced how the NFL actually dealt with them, and countless other ways that social media and the voice of the customer really is starting to change business. So we need to learn how to understand them and understand how we can adapt to their changing power inside our dynamic here. So let's on to our second topic here a little bit. Understand that these costs of business really do continue to rise. Accidents are becoming more and more expensive as our equipment becomes more and more sophisticated. We have a massive driver shortage looming in the future for many reasons. One just being that a lot of our drivers are aging out of driving. They're starting to retire. Two, this is news to a lot of people, but millennials don't drive. They don't want to drive, and driving occupations aren't that attractive to them. And as an industry as a whole, we really aren't starting to, we're starting late putting together programs to attract millennials to driving. One of my favorite things, CSA scoring. CSA scoring has added a level of complexity to the businesses that we run today, and it's just driving up costs very quickly for a lot of people. And probably my least favorite in the world, which is traffic. I hate traffic as much as everybody else does. But believe it or not, traffic is starting to become very expensive to us and our businesses. As we continue to deliver during daylight hours and traffic across the country continues to increase in many of our major metropolitan systems, it's actually slowing down our entire supply chain pretty significantly. So the cost of business continues to rise. That is with our customers' expectations that continue to grow. I don't know about you guys, but I am 100% addicted to my smartphone. I've been more addicted to the fact that I get text messages when the cable guy is coming to service my house, and my package has arrived for Amazon Prime, which is nothing because I'm not home to get it anyway. But, we're starting to get more and more expectations about getting information quickly, easily, and being able to find things out like at Duke. When will the next bus be coming by? I don't know if you've noticed this, but many train stations these days, commuter trains, as well as public buses, have signs with QR codes. I can scan that QR code in Baltimore, at the Baltimore Circulator, our cool free bus, and it will literally tell me what time the next bus will be past that particular bus station. We're also starting to see GPS-based information pop up on our phones as we walk past Starbucks, as we walk past the movie theater, as we start to drive down the road on the toll plaza, and we start to get to rest stops. So customer expectations are changing about the level of information that they can get, how they can get it, but most importantly, the urgency or getting that information incredibly quickly. But our attitudes are changing even more with this whole I want my order and I want it now mentality. I drive to the store, or I can go online and order my groceries from peapod.com and have them delivered the same day or early next morning. Save me a trip to that store. Do the same with Fresh Direct. I can get Amazon now. I can get 2-hour delivery in the city of Baltimore for anything that's in stock in the local distribution center from Amazon. I've tried it. It works great. Literally, things are in my hands within about an hour. We got drones, but delivery probably really isn't that far off. There's actually a liquor store in either Upper Michigan or Upper Minnesota that was delivering 6-packs via drone out to the fishermen on the frozen lakes. Unfortunately, they got shut down, but I think that was a pretty good idea. Of course, Uber. Sometimes, I go to Dallas a lot for work, and it can take me 15 or 20 minutes to get a taxi, where I get an Uber car in less than 2 minutes. We've changed this whole dynamic. Because we were talking at lunch today about how people used to actually write letters and how email became disruptive, text messages became disruptive, and now we even have more disruptive technology in the everyday things that we do. We do anything we want faster and usually cheaper. But as customer expectations continue to grow, we also know that if we provide exceptional levels of customer service, which I clearly believe that technology allows us to do, that customers will pay a premium for our service. So a couple of research reports I've looked at is that 10% of the people that buy from you will pay a 25% premium if they perceive that they're getting exceptional customer service. I would say unequivocally that in wholesale distribution, you have to have real-time information in order to provide that level of service. Folks will say, hey, Cindy, I deliver lettuce. There's no way that somebody's going to pay me a premium. Well, our answer is you don't know until you offer premium customer service or premium services, such as let me pick my own delivery window. Let me get it within 2 hours. Let me pick the time that I'll accept it, whether it's 1 hour, 2 hours, or 4 hours. I think the most amazing piece of graphic is also on the lower end, is that 76% of your customer base will pay a 5% premium. And what, 5% premium with that kind of volume oftentimes outpaces that 10% and 25% premium. So it's ways to move the customer service needle to the right that potentially can yield you incredible increases in revenue. But the great news is out there for private fleets is that we know that 80% of private fleets out there actually operate their own fleet for one single solitude reason, and is being able to offer exceptional customer service. Customer service that they perceive could not be offered when they're using a third-party carrier or a third-party logistics. So strategy is really driving fleet intelligence. How are the leaders really becoming exceptional at everything they do? Well, first and foremost, leaders out there are capturing performance data in real time. They take that real-time data and integrate it back into their CRM or ERP systems. So it's important to not only gather information, but take and do something with the information that you've gathered. So 67% of the leaders in our wholesale distribution industries or private fleet, that's what they're doing with their data. The second thing that these leaders are actually doing is providing easy access to this data. It's not so much about one point as it is about multiple points or historical information about all your deliveries. And the leaders in the industry have understood the true value of a lot of business analytics tools. The third thing that leaders and also many followers do, and we've started to see this even more and more within our own customer base these days, is they provide their customers with real-time updates on, what's happening. Where's my order? Where's my truck? And I always use my Amazon Prime analogy. It's getting the text message of the 36 roll of toilet paper that's at my front door. I'm sitting in my office. I'm not going to do anything about it, but I'm very comforted to know that my toilet paper made it to the house on time. That's about that increased visibility out to me via text message. But it can also be via automated phone call or even through the website. But it's all about creating visibility and providing that information to your customers. How do people make improvements, or where do they start to see those improvements? And again, look at the leaders in the industry and the followers. First and foremost, the most impressive thing that leaders do, they understand the historical status of their vehicles. What does that mean? It can mean a lot of things. Understand actual versus planned. How long did it take to service customers relative to how long it should have? Were there delays? Were there breakdowns in the process? The historical data is allowing them to, A, identify where the problems are, but B, create programs that are beneficial to them through means such as driver performance bonuses that might increase productivity and decrease overtime. The second key thing out of these four is real-time visibility to your drivers. It's a driver, a service tech, or some mobile type resource out in the field. The ability to quickly identify where is somebody, how do I solve the problem that has arisen based upon their location, is critical for leading your industry. Is exception alerts. Let me know when something goes wrong so that I can proactively make a change or respond to it. If somebody misses a time window, there's other time windows in that route throughout the day that are probably going to be missed. So when I miss 10 or 15, when I can only miss one, and then proactively notify people that there's a problem has occurred. They crash on the beltway, and now we're going to be late to other folks. It's about managing by exception rather than trying to just watch your dots on a screen. Last but not least, the ability to communicate in real time to your drivers or mobile resources out in the field. Change happens. It's a fact of life. So we have to be able to communicate with folks, whether it's via text message, in-app notifications, or simply picking up the telephone and calling them. The ability to deal with change in real time and talk with your drivers and communicate is very important. It's equally important for your drivers to be able to communicate information back to you so that you can make change on the routing side as well for these folks. Let's look now at year-over-year improvement in fleet performance. This slide for me is just incredibly interesting. And again, it's looking at those leaders and followers coming from the Aberdeen report. They have a year-over-year improvement in customer satisfaction by 11%. Service and delivery revenue increases also by 11%. When to use mobile technology, they start to see reductions in idle time. And it's not a time reduction, it's a year-over-year reduction. Idle time is one of those gifts that keeps on giving because it affects not only your fuel consumption, but also the maintenance and the wear and tear on your vehicles. But these also start to get safe. Accidents are reduced year over year by about 6%. Speeding, which is the main cause of accidents, reduced 8% year over year. And relative to the followers, you can see they're simply not making improvement in a way that is entirely scalable throughout the entire organization. Increasing your productivity, and then also increasing your service and delivery costs. This might be the single most important point on this slide because the leaders are making a 6% year-over-year improvement, but the followers or those laggards are actually increasing their expense by their service and delivery cost expense by 3% every year. How did these folks do this? Well, in the past it used to be pretty simple. They looked at three key things: GPS, idling, and speed. But the future really is about customer service metrics, being able to quickly resolve problems with a single call, being able to communicate with your customers in a very proactive method to let them know a service tech is coming, a nurse is coming, your delivery is going to be made, or that it even has been made. Looking at revenue or even cost as a percent of sales or revenue across the organization, and of course, various productivity KPIs. It's very important that we identify what KPIs are important for us and to drive us throughout the future. So how do we actually get there? This is an incredibly long road to nowhere, but I guarantee you it's between Kingman, Arizona and Las Vegas. Got me to Las Vegas. But getting there is hard sometimes. It takes time. It takes the ability to be proactive with your company and understand what your challenges and what possibilities on how to solve those particular challenges. In the realm of mobility, we really say it's about having a great fleet management solution. And fleet management encompasses many things. It's not just about routing trucks. It's about looking at good strategic plans, whether you're adding routes, customers, picking up a brand to distribute, or even buying another company. It's about proactive scheduling, allowing reps, customer service reps, or even customers to schedule their own delivery so that they can increase the level of service and then become even more self-service and reduce your overall costs. It's about taking those orders and creating great routes for every day, being able to manage the routes throughout the day, notify about exceptions, and of course, analyze the data coming back in real time as well as historically so that you can make meaningful change. We're really focusing about mobility and how mobility helps you get to the point where you can decrease your delivery costs and respond to those ever-increasing customer notifications. So being a route is just half of the solution. Once you create a plan, you have to find a way to manage or monitor that particular plan. Mobile applications themselves really allow you to solve several things. One, where's my driver? We are all that leaders in wholesale distribution always know where their driver or mobile resource is. We talk about managing by exceptions. We've heard about customer service, but what driver management? Give drivers a plan, hold them accountable to that plan, hold them accountable to the service levels that you've set within your organization. Again, create meaningful driver performance and bonus plans. Understanding the actual versus plan. What happened as the plan unfolded throughout the day? Did you spend 20 minutes at a customer like you were supposed to, or was the driver consistently spending 40 minutes at that particular customer, and why? Into where the anomalies are and where your costs are increasing instead of decreasing. Not least, suggest a route. Real-time orders, real-time pickups, real-time dispatches happen every day. Like I said earlier, change happens. Being able to very quickly adapt and figure out where should an order in a route be placed that's already in process. So this screen behind all this stuff is a shot of the server-side software. In mobile applications, there's always two components. The first component is what's on the server, and the second component is really about what's out in the field, how you actually capture that data. Capture data can happen several ways, using consumer-grade smartphone, using a rugged feature phone, or even a rugged device that's located in the picture in front of you, or even a tablet or phablet, oversized things. Mobile applications are important because they can really help you become compliant when it comes to federal hours of service rules. It's the ability to take paper out of your driver's hands. It's a paper manifest. You no longer have to print thousands of pieces of paper to get people out the door. It pushes drivers to stay in a standardized workflow, whether we're talking about a vehicle inspection report or how to physically deliver maybe a piece of furniture. You take it out of the truck, check. You assemble it, check. You place it where the customer wants it in the room, check. You take a picture of it to show that it's been completely assembled and the customer's happy, check. Allow you to get driver directions that are correct. If we think about all those consumer-grade GPS applications or personal navigation applications that we have on our phone, it does not tell me about height and weight restrictions on roads, two things that are critically important to drivers out there. But driver directions that not only adhere to various commercial restrictions, but adhere to the route that I want the driver to take, meaning the company. Of course, two-way communications, over-shortened damage, making sure that I've delivered what I'm supposed to deliver through scan verifications. If I scan it and it buzzes at me, well, maybe I shouldn't deliver that. Service time. Time is critically important in your fleet management system because you want to be able to take that service time and bring it back to your routing module so you can create very accurate route plans. It's important to use these mobile apps to track on-time deliveries, and as we track on-time deliveries for drivers, that also increases our customer satisfaction. Now, mobility isn't just to drivers. Mobility also can encompass your non-delivery workers. It might be your sales reps in the field. It would be your merchandisers that are going out and putting product on shelves. Why is this important? Well, it's incredibly important to know real distance they're traveling because, well, one, we've got to report it for the IRS. Two, we might be reimbursing by miles, and I can track it using GPS or I can take somebody's word for it. And three, we need to understand how much time did they actually spend at a customer. It can affect everything from service level agreements, where you have an agreement with the customer that your merchandiser will spend 20 minutes per day in your store, all the way to understanding whether somebody actually went and did what they're supposed to do, or if they're at home in their PJs making phone calls. It's a great time so that you can track both your delivery employees as well as your face-to-face employees, such as your sales reps, merchandisers, or any true mobile resource. Track and trace respiratory therapists and nurses out in the field as well. We've created a route plan. We've tracked plan using a mobile application. That's still only 2/3 of the total solution. Next thing that we want to talk about is being able to, once we as we're tracking that plan, be able to proactively notify people and being able to manage on the go. So the first thing is understanding how do you make your employees that are so incredibly busy. The folks who manage these drivers typically aren't at their desks. They're running around. They're solving problems. Well, good companies allow dispatchers, transportation managers, driver supervisors, supervisors, whoever it might be, to kind of take that application and put it in their pocket. So mobility isn't just about tracking who was where. It's about making your office workers streamlined and more effective at the same time. So a web page, something that's a tablet or something that's on a phone or phablet, It's being able to take the information you need with you on the go, anywhere that you go. This piece of being drivers in real time is being able to notify folks. Let's go back to my Amazon Prime text message. Being able to proactively let customers know, when will you be servicing them? When will you be making that delivery? When will you be there to fix the cable? When will you be there to actually drop off their oxygen? Whether it's a phone call, text message, or email, it's very easy to do once you're using mobility to track what's happening in real time. And it's not just about when will you be there. It's also about let someone know you're going to be there in 15 minutes. Maybe you have a cash business. You always pick up cash or a check when you deliver a product or perform a service, fixing garage doors. You customers to your website. Create real-time widgets so you can actually embed information into your website so it's a customer self-service to answer that question, where's my truck or order. This is really, truly one of the unique strengths around being able to, A, create a plan, but B, be able to monitor that plan in real time via message apps as apps that exist on mobile devices. And what's so great about this is it's all based upon a simple tool that everybody uses every day, their smartphone. So the last step in the equation on how that you actually get there is really about analysis. I've heard the term big data. To me, the term big data sometimes is a little bit scary. Big data is great, but you often have to take little steps to be able to understand it. Or you've got to get 7 other data professionals involved to explain it to you easily. So it's important to look for domain-specific business intelligence tools. It can allow you to create measures that are important to you and your company. Comprehensive measures that measure what you do every day. Typically have an incredibly fast time to value. Why? Because if I can put together the information, look at all my historical information, I can make great decisions for my business based on good information. So about it, a nice mobile solution, and I've been collecting real-time information over months. I can, within 5 or 10 minutes, get everything I need at my fingertips in order to understand what's going on, where the challenges are, and even potentially how to solve the problem. You start to move into some advanced analytics and what we call predictive and prescriptive analytics. Understanding that if these 10 things happened in the past, there's one thing that might happen in the future, and here's what you should do about it to make changes. For example, if I'm consistently 20 minutes over my service time for a location, I want to pick up the phone and understand what's going on with that driver. And the driver might say, hey, you get here at 2 o'clock, but the manager's never really ready to see me until 2:15. I probably shouldn't get here till 2:15. That's information that you can identify very quickly to understand what's happening throughout. So let's talk about, within the fleet management solution, some mobility success stories. So the first one I want to talk about is a large multi-state beverage distributor. And their mobile problem was really around their mobile workers, merchandisers. They had 8-hour shifts, and they never knew exactly what happened or where they are. So there was no incentive to finish fast or on time. By putting a mobile application into place, they use their full time to service the customer. So what we're finding out is that, sometimes they spent 5 minutes there, sometimes they spent an hour there, but they were motivated to spend the right amount of time at that customer servicing them. They were all wasting time. So at the end of the day, they were able to increase their merchandiser productivity by about 200%. Their hourly payroll costs were reduced by about 150 hours per month. By the merchandisers to spend the correct time in the account, they were able to reduce their service. They were able to substantially increase their customer service, and they had a much higher level of accountability for their merchandising employees in both time as well as reporting mileage. The second that I'd like to talk about was a national furniture retailer. They were focused on customer service and knew that a routing solution as well as a mobile solution was to allow them to provide a much higher level of service, as we've been talking about this entire time. Their thing is flexibility. They have to be able to respond on a dime to the changes in the market and also changes in delivery times. They look at weather conditions, they look at historical traffic, they look at construction that might be happening, and identifying all those items, they can create more efficient routes. But they also didn't have a great way to measure how long did it really take to service customers. If I'm delivering and assembling a bed, how long does it take? So putting in both a routing application as well as a mobility application, within 3 months they were able to see a 22% improvement in service time, meaning that they took times and then allocated correct times to each different type of furniture that was being delivered to set a correct expectation for the driver. They had over a 50% reduction in their routing time. They had drastic improvement in their customer service survey scores, and a 5% improvement in what they call service time to first hour. So getting the service right the first time. Today, the industry's changing. The customers are king. We have some of the costs that increasingly continue to affect us through our business. And we've talked a little bit about the solutions as well as some customer success stories. So ask anybody that has a question now to actually type it into the chat feature. When you type a question into chat, we can see it, and we'll read back that question and address it in real time.
Great. Thank you so much, Cindy. So like I said, at this time we'll be taking your questions, and we'll get to as many as we can. I know we're running a little over now. So let's just jump right into it. The first question is, what types of notifications are available to drivers and managers to notify them of an issue happening on a route?
Well, it's a great question. We use a proprietary text servicing message so that dispatchers can quickly create a message and send it out to those drivers. We don't want to encourage them to read them during the drive time. So they get an audible alert that lets them know that there's a message waiting for them, but you're unable to read it till you've actually stopped.
Great. And which types of devices are best for drivers?
No, that's a really good question. I used to always say rugged, not so much anymore. I think consumer-grade devices are great devices. The reason being is that a lot of the case technology allows us to put it in a case that's really quite frankly durable. Technology is continuing to change, and cell phones, these consumer-grade phones are, a great way to address that changing technology. However, if you're in a very challenging environment, I would always encourage folks to use a rugged device. So if you have heat or cold, major variations or swings, rugged devices are the way to go. I do love consumer ones. We've got one question that came in here. Another one, is the ETA feature on its own or integrated into our site an additional module for purchase, or is it included with the transportation suite? This is an additional purchasable module of the transportation suite.
Great. And we have time for one more question. That is it optimal to use a route plan with mobile tracking? Do you need both?
So that's another strong question. It is. If you track without a plan, you're just tracking bad habits. If you out but don't track, you sent someone with a plan, but you don't know if they really did what you asked them to do. So I always say that if you're starting from scratch, start with a plan first. Create a routing plan. Set expectations. Set expectations. I think that the 1-2 punch really is about being able to track what happened in the field in real time. And I think the way the customer demands are moving, that it's not going to be an option for us in the future. Plus, we already know that there's many mandates coming down the pike that will probably require us to have some mobile solutions inside cabs of vehicles as well.
Great. Thank you so much, Cindy, and thank you, everyone. We're going to have to wrap things up now. But if you have any more questions, here are information on this last slide here, our email and our phone number. Please don't hesitate to contact us if you have any other questions. So thank you again, and have a great day.